Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Technology Bits and Bytes session in partnership today with Microsoft and Vodacom. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Brian Timperley, Chief Executive at Turrito. I'm joined by some of our technical and sales team from Turrito who are in the room, as well as our product specialist, Senzi Masilela, and he's our product specialist from Vodacom, who's going to be taking us through a brief presentation. I hope everyone received their lunch vouchers, enjoy some nice lunch during the presentation. That's part of the point of it. And today we're going to really be talking about Teams voice, and more specifically, the integration of voice breakouts that we have with Vodacom. So the logic behind this option, certainly for our customers' perspective, is relatively simple. We're an aggregator across, as many of you know, about 45 different tier 1 network providers, as well as all of the telephony providers. And Vodacom have, without question, some of the lowest voice rates in the country. Not only does this tend to save our customers a significant amount in voice rates, which can be the larger portion of the cost associated with these solutions, and also provide zero cost inter-branch as well as zero cost inter-business calls on Vodacom's network. And I think Senzi will give you a little bit more insight on that. You can imagine that the number of businesses that are associated with Vodacom's voice breakout in South Africa is significant, and obviously that sits on the same backbone, so the access to it is there. But it is also their seamless integration with Microsoft platform that makes the solution very compelling. Turrito's first voice over Teams rollout, we completed that about 5 years ago, when we were playing with the bleeding edge of this technology, and Vodacom were our first Teams fully integrated partner to take the plunge with us. So the success has continued since then. Today, more than 80% of our customers on Teams voice run their Teams calls over Vodacom's voice breakout as a result. So please feel free to make any notes of any questions that you have during the session. We'll jump into a Q&A for the last 5 or 6 minutes of the session, so you're welcome to ask our team anything that's on your mind. And without further ado, I will hand over to Senzi. So all yours, big guy.
Good afternoon, team. How are you? Hope you're good. And thanks for that intro. I mean, from my side, really, I'm very excited to be part of this session. And I hope our guests are as excited as we are. I'm sure the content that we're going to deliver, it's going to resonate quite well with them. And thanks for your time again. So yeah, from as per the intro, basically, I'm doing business development for Microsoft services within Vodacom, and in partnership with Turrito. And the topic of today is basically around Teams Voice Breakout, which is a service that we've actually coupled with, or that we've added on top of the Microsoft Office 365 license offering. Maybe just to kick off and give you a little bit of background around the solution itself. You might be aware and you might be familiar with the screen that's up here. A lot of customers today are already using Microsoft Teams, and they're quite familiar with this. And what this normally means is that the application that you see here, we've got like a view, a look and feel of a desktop application and a mobile application. So what Microsoft has done is that they've standardized in terms of like the look and feel. Whether you're using a desktop application, it looks quite similar to how it would look like on a mobile device. And we've seen obviously the adoption of Teams coming up quite heavy when COVID hit, and that is when customers required work from home solutions, which now we call it like work from anywhere, which is like an office anywhere, and obviously to make sure that there's always productivity, improved productivity, making sure that they can work from anywhere using any device, and obviously through collaboration, online meetings, instant chatting or instant messages on Teams. And I think the most important thing, which touches on our core topic for today, is around the cost saving from a Teams voice breakout perspective. from a VoIP call rate perspective, we offer the very cost-effective rates, like it was introduced, and obviously the free Vodacom to Vodacom calls, which obviously will extend to any customer that you might be dealing with that is within the Vodacom VoIP network. So for an example, if you've got like a customer like your DHLs and that you might be dealing with, so if you're on the Vodacom network and you're calling them on their VoIP number, that call will be treated as an on-net call because it's within the Vodacom network. Okay, so those are just some of the extended benefits that come with Teams Voice Breakout. So feel free to stop me should there be something that maybe you need clarity on while I'm still presenting. But like we've got a Q&A session later on where we can basically address the questions. But if it's something that's maybe pressing that you need to address immediately, you can feel free to stop me and then we can attend to that. Okay, so if we maybe just double click on the voice breakout, sorry, on the Teams look and feel, basically this is the window that you would have where you've got like the features that come with the Teams. And mainly here you have a dial pad that you can use to dial, like to mobiles. It could be a fixed line that you would want to dial. This is the dial pad that you will use. And what Microsoft has done also is that you can actually add contacts here and have like a click to dial functionality where you can, because this will be integrated to the organization's AD. So you can basically import users from there and actually add them as contacts onto Teams. So you can just click to dial here if the users are the profiles are configured such that there's like maybe cell phone information or office thingy, you can basically use that for the contacts. And you can also set up call forwarding like you would normally have with the standard or the legacy PBXs. You can forward the calls to mobiles. You can forward the calls to any number. Basically, you can even forward them to voicemail, for an example. So there's different basically features and functionality that you can have with that. And also there's also voicemail. So you can see your call history, you can have voicemail. So you can see how many voicemails you have. You can just click to listen to the voicemails on email, because once you've got a voicemail, it will be forwarded to an email. So you can just click on the voicemail to listen to it. So this is just a high level view of the functions that you can have on the user interface. Okay, so what we have done is that we know that customers are used to their traditional PBXs or IP PBXs for that matter. So in terms of like voice breakout, what we did is that to get away of or to do away with the traditional and legacy PBXs, we've actually incorporated the same features or most of the features that customers can actually leverage from a PBX functionality. Those are also integrated into, or they can be provided through the Teams voice breakout. So things like your call hold, your basically having a call log, like I was showing on the previous slide. So caller ID, you can still see who is calling you. You can still present your caller ID. You can restrict caller ID. So depending on basically what is it that you want to do from a feature perspective, what you want enabled and disabled, you can have that functionality. And you can also have like music on hold. If maybe you put a call on hold, then the caller will hear a music that will be playing in the background, and that can be customized to your own choice of a WAV file. So you can upload a WAV file that can play the music on hold to the callers. So basically, these are just some of the features that are available and configurable on the Teams voice breakout solution. Okay. Now, what we have done as Vodacom in partnership with Turrito is that we've given, because we understand the landscape, I mean, there's customers that are already using Microsoft Teams or Office 365, for an example, and then there are customers that are new to the platform. So what we have done is that we have catered for both, also regardless of where the licenses are sitting. So the three options that you have here what we have done is that the first option, which is the which is the fully managed voice breakout solution. This is in a situation where customers are buying licenses from Turrito from Vodacom through Turrito, for an example, and then these customers basically we provide an end-to-end solution. So what we do is that we can configure the Microsoft leg of the Teams voice breakout, which is on the tenant side. We can configure user profiles. We can basically do everything that comes with that full functionality of the voice breakout, and then we can also configure the SBC, which is a session border controller, or the SIP trunk side of the leg of the call. So we provide an end-to-end functionality there. So the customer does not need to have internal engineers that have got like skills to do the configuration. That can be outsourced to Turrito and Vodacom. So we provide a fully managed solution, like I mentioned, and then this just talks to who the product is ideal for, which I've touched on. Now, in situations where customers are still maybe in contract with their current service providers, they can still keep their licenses there and leverage the voice breakout component from Turrito and Vodacom. Now, what we do here, where we provide an unmanaged solution, what BYOL unmanaged means is that a customer can bring their own licenses. They can use their own licenses with their existing service provider, which could be a third party. And then what we do is that on top of what they currently have, we add on the voice breakout licenses. So we'll add up the BYOL unmanaged licenses and provide or activate the voice breakout solution for them. So there's responsibilities, obviously, where as Vodacom will only provision the SBC, which is the leg that connects the customer from Microsoft to the PSTN, in terms of like making calls outside the organizations to mobile and fixed line numbers. So we will configure that. Then the customer will be responsible for configuring their tenant, the user profiles, all the rules that come with like the dial plans, who can the customers call, can they make international calls and things like that. So that has to be set up on the tenant side. So this is ideal for those customers that have got internal skills to manage their own Microsoft tenant and set up user profiles, and then they can basically go for this option. But then in situations where the customers, they are still in contract with their current service provider, they can still keep their licenses there. But if they don't have skills to basically do the configuration of the Microsoft tenant in terms of like user profiles and dial plans and call queues and all those kind of things, then they can leverage that service from Turrito. So basically, we try to cater for all user applications depending on what is the customer's landscape, how far in contract are they, can they move licenses to Vodacom through Turrito. Then those are the situations that we've catered for. So these environments basically cater for that. Okay. Now, if we look at the licensing that's required, I'm sure some of you might be familiar with the Office 365 licensing from a Microsoft perspective, and basically this is what talks to the licensing that has got Teams enabled from a SKU level. So there's business licenses, there's enterprise licenses, education SKUs for schools and higher institutions of learning, colleges and stuff, and then frontline workers. So all these SKUs, they support Teams. So what we have done is that we can cater for this either from Vodacom through Turrito or through third parties, like I've mentioned in the previous slide. And then what we need to do over and above that is that from these basic licenses, we need to add a phone system. There's a phone system license, which is an add-on to enable voice on the Microsoft tenant. So we'll need to have a phone system license enabled, and then we will also include the Teams voice breakout. But if we look at the E5s, which is like the Office 365 E5, Microsoft E5, educational SKUs from an E5 level, these already they come integrated with the phone system. What we need to do is just to add the voice breakout component. So hence we're saying there's no add-on license that's required from a phone system perspective. So pretty much that's what's required from a licensing perspective. So it's quite a very simple solution. Now, what from a device perspective, there's customers that still require to have devices, for an example, like physical IP phones on their desks. We can still we do cater for those customers. And what we have done is that we have standardized on Yearlink, but we also looking at Polycom. So all those devices that are Teams certified, we will be able to cater for those. So from a Vodacom Turrito perspective, if a customer comes in, they don't have devices, but they require, we've got a range from entry level, we've got like mid-range devices, executive devices that we can offer, depending on the requirement. We've even have got like switchboard devices, we've got like expansion modules that can be added to these devices, basically to cater for a switchboard environment. But most of the users, they can do away with just having a laptop and a headphone or earphones, for an example. So we do cater for those scenarios. And then in case of when a customer already has got, for an example, devices that they've made or they've invested capex on, and they still want to reuse those devices, we can cater for them. We just need to know the model of that device so that we can check whether it's Teams certified or not, and then we will be able to advise customers. And then sometimes you find that some models, they are not Teams certified, but they can be upgraded to be compliant and be able to work on Teams. We do cater for those environments as well, which I think is quite a cool thing that we've done. Now, from a meeting room perspective, we do cater for boardrooms as well. If you require to have like video conferencing devices in your boardroom facilities, we do cater for those environments as well. So it's quite a broad, I would say, portfolio of devices that we cater for, and we can provide that if maybe there is a requirement. If you want to know which devices have been certified on Teams, we can provide that list to yourselves. Now, what we have done over and above the standard Teams functionality that Microsoft has enabled on Office 365, we've actually created bundles, voice bundles for the different license scenarios. So for business licenses, enterprise licenses, and frontline licenses. So we've created bundles that basically match those SKUs. What we've done is that we've taken the Office 365 license, we've bundled it with the Teams voice breakout, and then we've also bundled it with the phone system. So the three licenses, basically, they make up that bundle. And then once you've got that bundle, you can be able to leverage that Teams voice breakout functionality. So, and what we've done is that because it's a bundle, we've actually priced it lower than how you would basically buy the individual items individually on their own. And if you are interested in those packages, obviously you can reach out to your account managers through Turrito, and then we can basically provide the pricing for the different bundles depending on the SKUs that you might have. And what we need also, I will touch on that in the next slide as well. To enable voice breakout, you need some sort of like an identifier, which is like you would normally have like your telecom line, 011, whatever number. You still, with VoIP, you still require some form of like an identifier. So we would provide what we call an IP talk number, which is a VoIP number that will enable or identify that user from a Teams voice breakout perspective. So that number, there's a once-off fee, minimal fee that is charged to basically activate that number, but it's just a once-off fee that is being charged. Okay. So if we look at the licensing requirements in terms of like dependencies, One, you would need to have an internet access. We would like it to be from Vodacom, but it can be any form of internet breakout, basically, as long as you can have some form of enough bandwidth to cater for the voice, to make sure that you've got good quality on that. But the benefit of having that connectivity through Vodacom is that we can manage the end-to-end solution from an access layer perspective right into the voice over IP. So just to ensure that you've got that voice quality, a good voice quality. And then the end user device, it could be a normal laptop, it could be an IP phone, like I mentioned on the device slide. Basically, that's the end user device that you can use to install the actual Teams application. Then you would require the Office 365 license, be it a business license, an enterprise license, and also the VoIP plan, which is the IP talk number that I spoke about, where we charge a minimal once-off fee to enable that voice breakout. Now, from a licensing perspective, I think I touched on this in the previous slide, where you need a phone system for all these SKUs, but for the E5s, they come already integrated with the phone system. So with the E5, we'll just add the voice breakout license, pretty much. And yeah, I think that's just about it from what the solution entails and basically what it does. I'm not sure if maybe there's any questions, maybe that you might have that we can address. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Senzi. Sweet and short, I like it. Let's go to the floor. Just, I think, raise your virtual hands, or if you'd prefer, if your mouth's full of lunch, you're welcome to drop your question into the chat as well, and we'll just take a couple of questions in the interim. We've got one from Jay, so Jay, go for it.
How's it, guys? So you mentioned with the business and lower enterprise licenses and the frontline support staff that there's an add-on license for the phone system to work. What is the average costing is that on that add-on phone license? Does it change depending on the type of license that user is currently licensed on? So for example, an E3 add-on license is potentially different to an F1 license add-on, or is the add-on license the same across the board?
That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Senzi, if you can just handle whether the license is different, and I can check if one of our sales team could raise your hand if you've got there we go. Colin probably has a good idea of roughly what that cost is as well, yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe Colin can talk to the cost. But in my understanding, when we started, there used to be different licenses for the business license. We need to have we used to have a phone system license, and then for the enterprise licenses, we used to have a different one, and they also, they carried a different cost, but those have since been integrated into one. So whether it's an enterprise or business license, it's a phone, it's a standard phone system license, irrespective of which license type you have. But from a cost perspective, I'm sure Colin would be able to assist you with that.
Yeah, it's the same across the board if it isn't included in your Office 365 or Microsoft 365 package, and it's $8 per user per month is the retail price. Turrito will obviously, we can do it for slightly less than that. So speak to your account manager for exactly what pricing we could do. Important to note that NPOs and NGOs and education get a massive discount on that. So Teams Voice really is a no-brainer. If anyone's in the room from one of those types of organizations, it becomes very, very, very cheap. And it differs, but 70, 80, 90% off. So big difference. Unfortunately, if you're in business, you got to pay close to that retail price, which is $8 per user per month.
Right, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We've got a next one, which is from Michael. If we have F3 licenses compared with E5 licenses, I think it's E3 licenses to E5. Okay, all the functional ones. How are we restricted in Teams voice breakout? Perhaps take offline. I think we can answer that one. I mean, if they've got F3 licenses versus obviously E5 where it's integrated, how how the F license is restricted, or is it that same $8 additional and you get access to it?
Yeah, same process.
There we go. So same process, Michael, just that additional $8 license, and you effectively enable those F3 licenses to have the Teams voice license. Next one is from Friedel. We have a bespoke system with a dialer that initiates calls on our existing PBX. Would there be some way of also doing this with Teams? Senzi?
A pre-dialer in the form of a pre-dialer is mostly used in contact center functionalities. Am I correct?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's something that we can maybe take back and give feedback on, because I know that from a Teams telephony or voice breakout telephony perspective, there is some contact center functionality that is included, but as to whether that pre-dialer is there, I'm not quite sure. But we can come back to that. But things like hang groups and call queues and things like that, we are able to cater for.
Okay, so I guess it's just understanding to what extent that call center functionality is required. So Friedel will get in touch with you after this and go into a little bit more detail around what options are and aren't available from a call center perspective. Great. Excellent. Just waiting for, if there are any other questions, please, again, feel free to put them in the group or raise your virtual hand. We did have another question come through here. What is the experience with a soft phone on Teams versus having traditional handset or making a cellular call? I suppose this is very much, if no one's experienced what it's like, kind of moving away from that traditional way of picking up the handset on your desk or making a cell phone call versus, messaging in WhatsApp. Effectively, the experience is all very much integrated into the Teams application on your phone. So you'd literally open it up and there's an option to make team voice calls. There's also an option to make normal Teams calls, so basic internet calls like we're doing at the moment. And then also go into the chat and collaboration and pre-scheduled Teams environment. So even though, for a lot of our customers, when we've done the cutovers, it's quite a, it's quite surreal for them to go like, how do we bring all of that together? The integration on the application is phenomenal from that perspective. So literally within that interface, our users would be able to go in and make calls that are not terminating from their cell phone. They're obviously in the app in Teams using Microsoft Teams infrastructure, breaking out through the integration with Vodacom's network and making calls either to landlines or cell phones or whatever else you need. Within the same interfaces, all of your collaboration, all of your access to applications, all of your access to team sessions. So integration is very seamless from that perspective. I see some other ones coming through as well. Okay, that's just confirming pricing. So there we go. Our Teams phone license add-on is around 148 Rand per user per month, which is, I think, yeah, slightly less than the retail price on the Vodacom side, which is great. Excellent. Any other questions? I don't know, Mel, if any other questions came through from users yet?
From the RSVP form, we've got a few, but a lot of them have been answered. For example, existing devices and conference facilities. So
okay, that's great. And Michael there's also made a comment which I think is a great one to repeat as well. In their pilot tests, the quality was great, and this is really, it's one of the things that we try and emphasize with customers as well, is that there should be zero degradation in terms of your experience on those calls. Like, that is the way the platform has been configured and built, and the integration that has been done for such a long period of time with through Vodacom's environment as well. The quality should be exceptional. The latency almost non-existent. Like, it really is enterprise grade telephony that runs across it, and that's something that we really do want to emphasize, because I think a lot of customers often have a little bit of resistance or fear around moving over, expecting some kind of degradation, and that most certainly is not the case when we do the full integration on Teams Voice. These platforms, as we said, our first rollouts were just over 5 years ago. Then it was very bleeding edge. Then we were nervous about the stuff that we were doing, but obviously since then, it really is robust. It really is enterprise grade. So we certainly encourage you guys to test it out for yourselves, and we're very happy to arrange that for you guys as well. Another question here: what about detailed granular reporting on calls for call centers? Senzi, I don't know if you've got an immediate answer to that, or if that makes up the stuff that we need to come back with around call centers.
So the reporting, so what I know is that we've got what we call the call detail record. We've got like the CDRs that we provide, and obviously with that we can basically make sense in terms of like how many calls were terminated, what was the duration, how many calls has failed, and things like that. And I think over and above this, what we provide is a telephony management solution that actually gives a full reporting in terms of like the call environment, basically in terms of like how the calls were handled. So we do have that solution, which is a standalone solution that provides reporting on the VoIP telephony. We do have that service as well, yeah.
That's great. So I think after this session, Friedel will certainly get that information to you and to anyone else who's keen on it, but we'll send you the reporting capabilities as they exist. And then obviously, if there's a requirement over and above that, then we'll engage with you guys and see how we can assist you there as well. Colin?
Just to Friedel, I've seen some amazing integration and reporting, unfortunately only with Dynamics. So for those of you who are on Microsoft Dynamics, there's sort of built-in templates that link what's in Dynamics, what's in your CRM program with what's happening on Teams. So it's really, finance departments love it because they don't just get a breakdown that shows a bunch of 082 numbers or 083 numbers. It shows, each of your users, and it actually shows who, which company they were phoning or which user within which company they were phoning, if things like extensions and landlines are saved in your CRM program. So then your reporting actually becomes like really easy to understand and nice to look at. It's probably possible. I don't know if anyone in the room knows if you can integrate it with other CRMs, but I've definitely seen it done with Dynamics, and it's fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks, Colin. Right. Any other questions? Any other comments? Looks like we've covered quite a bit in terms of the Q&A as well. So if there is no more, then that is it. Thank you so much for joining us again today. It's great to host you guys. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. Hope you enjoyed the content. And again, as always, please feel free to reach out to our team, all here to assist, any questions and stuff that pop in, or if you'd like to do a pilot or a demo or a POC or anything like that, please give us a shout. We'll certainly be very happy to help you guys out. Excellent. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a good one. Take it easy, and we'll see you next time.